Stuart, the last time you and I spoke was back in January of this year, 2012, and you had already given the Graham Powers, the former Chief Police, submission to the Wiltshire Constabulary. You had given it to the to the BBC State Radio, and you were going to see who published it first. And we were asking, it's inevitably has turned out that you've published and the BBC haven't. Can you tell us the significance of the document and the significance that the BBC refused to publish it or broadcast it?
Well, there are two questions there. I mean, first of all, the significance of the document is profound, and certainly the document will be tabled as evidence in the Royal Courts of Justice in London as a dramatic and significant example of the evidence breakdown in the rule of law in Jersey. If this kind of illegal procedure can be adopted against a good, honest police chief, and he can be denied due process, then none of us are safe. We don't enjoy the proper protections of objective policing. The kind of things that are revealed in the document are shocking and deeply, deeply disturbing, and in some ways in which might go over the head of people unless they're familiar with the basic principles of law involved in these matters. For example, earlier in the statement, Mr. Power recounts an incident where the then Assistant Minister for Home Affairs was answering questions in the Jersey Parliament, and it basically ended up being revealed that effectively he, as a politician, had been offering to certain other police officers career advancements. And this clearly is going to be a very dangerous and problematic thing for a Home Affairs Department to do, because they are political. The Minister and Assistant Minister are politicians. Now, if they start offering career advancements, inducements, promotions or whatever to certain police officers to act in certain ways, then again you're looking at what is simply an unlawful, non-functioning police.
So, because I like to bring it back to this particular document, it was leaked to you. Notably, it wasn't leaked, Graham Powers' submission to Wiltshire, which you've now published on your blog. It was leaked to you. It wasn't leaked to the mainstream media. We've discussed that in the past. But the BBC have had a copy of it now since September the 22nd, 2011. They've still, to this day, not published it. You've given them the opportunity to do it. Why, because to us, without them publishing it, we have asked the editor, John Gripton, why he won't publish it. He won't tell us. He ignores our emails. He's published the prosecution case. Why, in your opinion, will the BBC not publish the defence case that they've had for so long?
The BBC as a national and international institution has got big problems because of Jersey. The conduct of the BBC in Jersey, and I'm talking about the BBC as an international institution, has been so frankly corrupt and incompetent and unethical that it could actually threaten the viability and the credibility of the whole organisation. Here you've got an organisation that has been given dynamite evidence, dynamite news stories. Now, of course, all media in the Western world have or should have editorial independence. Just because they get a particular story doesn't mean necessarily they have to run it or have to run it in a particular way. But there are certain constraints realistically on that. If the story is of immense public interest, as the story clearly is, if it goes to the heart of the matter, and in the case of the BBC, you're dealing with a public interest organisation that's actually funded by the licence fee and has a charter that requires it to do these kind of things, for it to exhibit the bias it has done in, as you've said, running the prosecution, as it were, case against Graham Power on behalf of the Jersey establishment, but then refusing to give equal coverage to the case for Mr. Power, it's just staggering.
So you did ask the editor, or did you ask the editor, Mr. Gripton, why he hasn't published it, or is he going to publish it, or have you had any kind of exchange with him?
Oh, I contacted Mr. Gripton back in September last year, and I, perhaps against my better judgment, I spoke with him and I met with him and I gave him the document. And when I spoke with him and I met with him and so on, he seemed at that time quite enthusiastic, and there was no question of him not appreciating the gravity of the document, of the evidence and of the issues. And so at the time, certainly, there was a great deal of interest. I wasn't entirely surprised when nothing came of it. And I did subsequently email him and ask him if the BBC in Jersey was going to now give fair coverage to these issues. But no, I don't even get any replies to my emails
No
anymore.
replies?
No.
Same as us, we don't get replies to them either, let alone answer any questions from the BBC. What I want to look at here is, what is this? Because as I mentioned earlier, this document was leaked to you, to citizens. Look at the documents that have been leaked lately to citizens media, certainly on the Rico Sorda blog. The David Walkup letter, the Met interim report, the in-camera debates, the Operation Tumour, we can go on and on and on. All these stuff have been leaked to citizens media and not the BBC.
Yeah.
The one thing that you did leak them, it was all leaked to you and not to them. They won't report it.
It's a profound commentary, isn't it, on the nature of the media and of trying to get honest, evidence-based information to the public. I mean, people like Graham Power, Lenny Harper, these are nationally respected, career, absolutely spotless, rigorous police officers of the highest caliber and the highest rank. These are not some kind of anarcho-hippie troublemakers, out looking to undermine the state or anything of that nature.
Yeah.
And it's quite remarkable that the concerns these men have ended up having to be covered by bloggers. And mainstream media simply won't address their concerns, won't deal with them. It's quite staggering. And in terms of moving on from that, in terms of kind of like the sources of information, how things come to us bloggers and us independent journalists, again, it's quite remarkable that the different, and it always has been over the years, the many different things that have come to me, it's always been quite remarkable that sources give me information as opposed to going to the Jersey Evening Post or whatever with it, because they know I would do something with it, and I'll be honestly concerned and I'll try and use it rather than burying it. So there is actually, and deservedly so, a much higher level of trust in Jersey for bloggers and for citizens media journalists than there is for the mainstream media, and that's just I think that's just well established now.